All right, and now we get to the main event of the evening for the now vacant UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. And what was formerly going to be the co-main event, now it's a 5-rounder in the main event for the vacant light heavyweight title. You have the number 3 ranked Jan Blachowicz, who comes into the fight with a record of 29 victories and 9 defeats, going up against the number 4 ranked Magomed Ankalaev, who comes into the fight with a record of 18 victories and 1 defeat. Who will walk out as the new UFC light heavyweight champion and have a fight with Yuri Prochazka lined up in their future, or potentially Glover Teixeira, because Yuri's going to be out for over a year. Look, this is a good fight. It's solid. I could see either man winning it, and I'm going to start it off by saying that. I could see Blachowicz catching Ankalaev on the chin and knocking him out. I could see Ankalaev dancing around on the outside, keeping the outside foot, using that lead right foot to continue to get that outside angle, landing the straight lefts, landing the front kicks, landing the left high kicks, the right hook behind it, shifting off to that rear side, landing the check right hook over the top. You know, I could see this fight playing out in a multitude of ways. And before we get into the breakdown, let's look at some of the stats. Both guys coming off wins. Blachowicz in that freak injury TKO style win over Alexander Rakic in his last fight. Magomed Ankalaev via TKO over Anthony Smith in round 2 of their fight. You look at the stats, 6'2 for Jan Blachowicz to 6'3 for Ankalaev. You've got a 78-inch reach for Blachowicz to a 75-inch reach for Ankalaev. Even though Blachowicz has a 3-inch reach advantage, Ankalaev's going to be the guy who's going to be using that reach and distance a lot better. So even though you look and you see that Blachowicz has the longer reach, the guy who's going to be fighting from a further range, the guy who's going to be dictating the range is going to be Ankalaev in this fight. He's going to be looking to land that straight left and then shift off to his lead right side and pivot off, get the outside foot, constantly looking for those outside angles. He's one of the most elusive light heavyweights, that have ever graced the game. And I mean, the guy can move very effortlessly for his size, and that's going to be a problem for Blachowicz in this fight, I believe. You look at the reach, like I said, 3-inch reach advantage for Blachowicz, but that's not really going to tell the whole story. Leg reach, 2-inch leg reach advantage, 46 inches to 44 inches for Blachowicz. Win percentages, you go on the side of Blachowicz, you have 31% of the wins by way of KO, TKO, 31% of the wins by way of submission, and 38% via decision. 62% finish rate in terms of his wins, 38% decision rate. On the side of Ankalaev, you have 56% of the wins coming by way of KO, TKO, and 44% coming by way of decision, no submissions. So all of his finishes come by way of KO, TKO. You look at the average fight time, it's pretty close. Blachowicz 12 minutes and 20 seconds to Ankalaev's 11 minutes and 10 seconds. Knockdown average per 15-minute fight, 0.41 for the former champion in Blachowicz to 0.81 for Magomed Ankalaev. You look at the significant strikes, you got 3.55 significant strikes landed per minute on the side of Blachowicz, to 3.64 landed on the side of Magomed Ankalaev. Very close in terms of significant strikes landed per minute. The accuracy is going to be on the side of the number 3 ranked Ankalaev. The number 4 ranked Ankalaev. He is going to have a 54% significant strike rate to a 49% for Jan Blachowicz. Strikes absorbed per minute, Ankalaev is better defensively. He takes less shots. 2.77 strikes absorbed per minute for Jan Blachowicz to 2.14 for Magomed Ankalaev. A 54% striking defense rate for Blachowicz, which is very high in the light heavyweight division, compared to a 60% striking defense rate for Ankalaev. I mean, the guy is not easy to hit clean. You have to literally just find that little sliver of an opening to crack Ankalaev on the chin. And if anybody can do it, it's definitely going to be Blachowicz, but it's an uphill battle for him in this fight, especially when it comes to the striking game. You look at the overall grappling in the fight, you're going to have a 1.08 takedown average per 15-minute fight for Blachowicz to a 0.94 for Ankalaev. So although I think Ankalaev is the better grappler offensively and defensively, Blachowicz actually shoots more takedowns per a 15-minute contest. You saw him showcase his wrestling a lot against Adesanya. He got taken down by Rakic, got taken down by Teixeira, but he does like to use his wrestling if he can Takedown accuracy is also going to be on the side of Blachowicz with a 53% takedown accuracy compared to a 33% accuracy for Ankalaev. But Ankalaev doesn't really look to resort to his grappling. He can grapple. He has good top control, good ground and pound, but he's never really going to be the one to initiate that grappling side. He more defends it, reverses it, gets into an advantageous position, and then can bomb away from you when he's in the top position. Takedown defense, an 86% takedown defense rate for Ankalaev to a 66% takedown defense rate for Blachowicz. Even though we just talked about Ankalaev not really using his wrestling and takedowns in an offensive manner, look for him to be able to defend all the takedowns of Blachowicz. Maybe Blachowicz gets one when he catches Ankalaev off balance, maybe inside the clinch, but I don't really see Blachowicz being able to take down Ankalaev, and if anybody's going to get a takedown, it's going to be on the side of Magomed, in my opinion. Submission average, we don't really have to pay too much attention to that overall. And then for the odds, you have Ankalaev as a massive minus 240 favorite to a plus 200 dog on the side of Jan Blachowicz and the former champion. Look, this is an uphill battle for Blachowicz, and, you know, this is a short notice bout, but they were originally scheduled to fight each other. It was just going to be a 3-rounder. Now it's 2 more rounds, the 5-rounder. You know, I think the 5 rounds definitely favors Blachowicz because he has that 5-round experience. He has that championship experience against Dominic Reyes, against Israel Adesanya, you know, against Glover Teixeira. He has 5-round, you know, championship fight experience getting ready for a championship fight. So I do think that 2 extra rounds is going to be more in favor of the underdog in Blachowicz. But overall, this fight is just, it's an uphill battle for Jan Blachowicz. I can't really see an area where Blachowicz wins this fight, besides him catching Ankalaev with a left hook over his jab, or catching him with a blitzing combination and cracking him on the chin and knocking him out. Now, we're talking about a guy who's got that Polish power. You know, he's known for having the Polish power, and he uses it on a lot of guys. I mean, he cracks you on the chin. He can knock you out. Did he hurt Israel Adesanya? No, but he knocked out Luke Rockhold, knocked out Dominic Reyes. You know, did get a TKO over Rakic, even though it was kind of due to an injury, and it wasn't really, you know, Blachowicz hurting him with a shot. Blachowicz has a lot of power. He knocked out Corey Anderson. I mean, he can crack, man. He leaves himself open for some counters, but he's got the power to shut your lights out. And if you don't think he can knock out Ankalaev, then you're crazy. I know Ankalaev is not easy to hit. I know he's very good defensively. He's always on his bicycle. He's always getting the outside foot, always angling, always using the check hook to get the outside angle. But he can crack Ankalaev. He can hurt him and he can drop him. I 100% believe it. He got dropped by Ankalaev got dropped by Santos in their last fight in a brief exchange. He was just caught out of range and got dropped to the left hook. Blachowicz has one of the best left hooks in this division, and I think if he catches Ankalaev on the chin, he can hurt him. But he's going to have to catch him either breaking off from inside the clinch like he did against Luke Rockhold, which is definitely a possibility, or he's going to have to blitz him up against the cage and then catch him circling off with a left hook. It's not going to be easy to track down Ankalaev. Ankalaev is so good defensively. He's so good at keeping the range and distance that he wants to fight, keeping you on the inside as he continues to get the outside foot. Check right hook, straight left hand, 1-2 down the middle, slip to his lead right side, pivot off, and continue to move. Front kicks up the middle. He can land a front kick to the face. He knocked out Dolce Lungiambula with a front kick to the face, who also fights on this card against Edmund Shabazian. You know, he hurt Iwan Kutelaba in their first fight, you know, after it got stopped controversially due to that rope-a-dope, but he was throwing left high kicks like they were jabs. I mean, the high kicks were coming up early, coming up often, and he was banging them away. In the second fight, he caught him with an overhand, left the right hook behind it, dropped him, jumped on him, and viciously knocked out Kutelaba. Like, don't get me wrong, Magomed Ankalaev is live for a finish as well. He has power, he has speed, he has the explosiveness. But if I see a knockout coming in this fight from either side, I think it's on the side of the former champion in Blachowicz. I think he can catch Ankalaev stepping in and knock him out just in a blitzing combination, breaking off from inside the clinch, you know, catching him as he's circling against the cage. But when it comes down to the overall fight, I think Magomed Ankalaev is an overall mixed martial artist. He's just a better fighter than Blachowicz. Now, does the better fighter always win? No, but I think his grappling can be used against Blachowicz early and often. I think he can take down Blachowicz. I think he can control him from inside his guard, from in the half guard, from in the full mount. I think he can control him from side control. I think he can use his wrestling and his takedowns. I think he can defend a takedown from Blachowicz and use it to spin to take the back. Like, I think Blachowicz can get out wrestled and will get out wrestled by Magomed Ankalaev. And that wrestling threat that Magomed has, even though he doesn't use it that often, that's going to make Blachowicz a little bit tentative on the feet. And if you're tentative on the feet against a guy who's so good defensively, so good at getting the outside angles, so good at landing and pot shotting on you and keeping the distance to keep you away, landing the check hook over your jab, I mean, that's going to be a problem for Blachowicz, and I feel like this is a fight where Blachowicz is going to have his moments. I think he will hurt Ankalaev at one point. He'll catch him stepping in and boom, crack him on the chin and drop him. But Ankalaev will be able to survive. Like I said, if anybody's going to get a knockout in this fight, it's going to be Blachowicz, and I think he will hurt Ankalaev, but I don't think he gets a finish. And I think if he doesn't get that finish, Ankalaev's going to pick him apart. He's going to jab him, check right hook him, straight left, check right hook, straight left, double jab, straight left, left shot to the body, front kick to the body, right hook, left high kick, left body kick, tie him up in the clinch, take him down, out wrestle him. And I think Ankalaev's going to cruise to a decision. I think it will be competitive 100%. I think Blachowicz is going to have his moments, especially with that dart in right hand to the switch left body kick. He's very good at using that. He used it against Adesanya. He used it against Dominic Reyes, and that's really what led up to that finish in that fight. The left hook is a problem. The body kicks are a problem from Blachowicz. You know, the power of Blachowicz is going to be a big question mark in this fight because we've seen Ankalaev get hurt. We've seen him get finished before, but that was against Paul Craig via submission. I don't really think Blachowicz will get a submission here, but the power of Blachowicz is going to be a big question mark. And the kicking game of Blachowicz, I think, is going to give Ankalaev a little bit more trouble than people think. But overall, I think the technical ability, the defensive awareness, and the overall offensive and defensive masterpiece that Ankalaev has showed in his recent fights, it might not be the most exciting, but the guy's a smart fighter. He's one of the most elusive light heavyweights on the roster, and his footwork and movement and his counter ability is just going to be too much for Blachowicz. So my pick overall is going to be the number 4 ranked Magomed Ankalaev to improve to 19-1. It says 17-1 on SureDog, so maybe he's 17-1. He'll improve to 18-1. Either way, he's going to be your new light heavyweight champion, and he's going to defeat Jan Blachowicz via a decision. I think it's going to be a 48-47 unanimous decision for Magomed Ankalaev. He's going to hand Blachowicz another loss. He's going to defeat a former champion, and he's going to move on into that fight with Yuri Prochazka. I think we're going to get Magomed Ankalaev versus Yuri Prochazka for the light heavyweight title. And I think that's not the most exciting fight, but it's definitely a good fight in that light heavyweight division. But yeah, I think Magomed is just going to be able to cruise his way to a decision. He'll have some scares. He will get hurt at one point. You know, Blachowicz is going to have a good showing of himself, but he's not going to defeat Magomed Ankalaev over the 25-minute distance. So Magomed Ankalaev to defeat Jan Blachowicz via 48-47 unanimous decision to become the new light heavyweight champion. I'm going to be honest, I don't like betting this fight from any side. I don't like Ankalaev as a huge favorite. I don't like Blachowicz I don't back Blachowicz enough to bet him. If you're going to bet anything overall in this fight, it's Jan Blachowicz to win by knockout, because you're probably going to get good odds, and that's his only path to victory. The only way he's going to win is by knocking out Magomed, and he's definitely live for it because of the power that he possesses, but I'm not going to tell you to back Blachowicz because I think Ankalaev wins this fight, and he does it in a really good fashion. It's going to be competitive. It's not going to be a dominant one-side decision for Ankalaev, but he will win the majority of the rounds and get his hand raised after the judges' scorecards are read. So betting side, I say stay away from it. If you have to play it anyway, then I wouldn't parlay this, but I would play Blachowicz by knockout just for the hell of it. Like, I think it's definitely live, and you're probably going to get a plus 200 odds or higher. So if you're going to play it at all, that's what you play, because he's always going to be live for the knockout. But the pick overall is Ankalaev via unanimous decision. All right, you can get this podcast anywhere you get your audio podcasts. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, Stitcher, and many more. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll have this podcast episode broken up into segments and uploaded to my YouTube channel as soon as I can. It'll have each fight uploaded into an individual video. You know, thank you guys for all the support. Check me out on YouTube at the Touch 'Em Up Podcast, same name as the podcast. Leave a review for me on Apple Podcast. You can donate to the podcast or the channel via PayPal. I have the links to my PayPal in the YouTube description boxes and also in the description to this podcast episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been my UFC 282 Blachowicz versus Ankalaev preview, predictions, and analysis. Let's get ready for Saturday and let's make some money this weekend.